Hey guys, what's up? Dingo Crikey here with another commentary video, this time discussing some news on the direction of Transformers 5. It's not too often that we get news on Transformers 5, so while this isn't the biggest news on the film, I figured it was still worth reporting on. So recently, a news story was posted on Transformers World 2005 discussing a members meeting with voice actor Mark Ryan. For those of you who don't know, that is the voice of Bumblebee in the first film, Jetfire in Revenge of the Fallen, and of course, Lockdown in Age of Extinction. I believe he is also the voice of various characters in the Transformers games, such as Ironhide in the first one. And the user writes a little bit about their interaction with Mark Ryan. They don't have a transcript or anything like that. Most of the discussion seems as if it was focused on the previous films. I'll leave a link in the description below for those of you who are interested in reading more on that. However, the most eye-catching thing mentioned in the interview was a tidbit on Transformers 5 that seems to further evidence to what many of us suspected, that the future Transformers films would be following two separate storylines. As mentioned, there isn't any exact quotes from Mr. Ryan, but the interviewer recalled, quote, "He said filming for TF5 ought to start next year and that the films will follow two directions now, one of which focuses upon Cade and Co." End quote. The last part probably referring to Cade and Company or Cade and the Autobots. While this certainly isn't confirmation and might not seem like news, it does give credence to what a lot of us might have been speculating, that Transformers 5 would be following two separate storylines rather than having all of the characters together. And the end of Age of Extinction would lead us to believe that the storyline that Mr. Ryan didn't mention is the one focusing on Optimus Prime and his journey throughout space to find the creators. If Mr. Ryan's statement, along with the end of Age of Extinction, weren't evidence enough, we can also look at the setup of the current Robots in Disguise cartoon, with Optimus Prime having his own story and Bumblebee having a separate one, as the cartoons often give us clues as to what might happen in the films and vice versa, probably for marketing reasons, help kids kind of understand, make things overlap, that kind of thing. Still, there were a good amount of people that speculated that Transformers 5 would probably just have a time skip, in which Optimus would have returned to Earth or would be returning in the film's beginning and maybe bring along this new threat with him. I believe this was something I even predicted as a possibility for Transformers 5, but it does look as though we may actually be getting two separate storylines, which definitely seems pretty cool, as if for nothing else, it would be something different than we've seen in the previous Transformers films. Still, I would say this isn't exactly confirmed. I mean, looking at Mark Ryan's statement, he seems like a reliable source. I doubt he would go out intentionally lying. I mean, he's been with the movies for a long time, so he might know about some of these things, but he is just a voice actor, and may only be getting small amounts of information. I mean, he's definitely not involved in the writing or anything like that. So for those of us who really like this theory on the direction of Transformers 5, I would say be cautious, but I think we can start getting our hopes up. Now, what does this mean for the film if we're going to have two different storylines? Most likely, we would have the storyline focusing on Optimus going into space, eventually coming into contact with the creators' minions, something such as that, and then a second storyline focusing on Cade, Bumblebee, and the Autobots on Earth, and probably the threat of Galvatron. Now, because these movies are really insane, we don't know what could happen. Maybe there are two completely different directions that the movie is going to take, but these seem to be the most likely. I mean, I highly doubt that let's say TF5 will focus all on Cade, Bumblebee, and the Earth characters, and then Transformers 6 will be focusing on Optimus. I think it's much more likely that Transformers 5 will kind of jump back and forth between the two storylines, and maybe have them come together at the end of the film, or definitely at the end of Transformers 6. Hopefully with the Autobots, and maybe even the Decepticons, versus Unicron. And before you say Unicron was already in Dark of the Moon, if you want to believe that kind of, cameo was actually Unicron, or was about as close to Unicron as we're going to get, but in my opinion, Unicron has yet to be seen in the Transformers cinematic universe. Anyways, as mentioned, I do kind of like this idea for the following films. Obviously, these directions would open up more possibilities for expanding this universe and getting into all kinds of different ideas. If you want to hear more extensive thoughts on that, I have all kinds of videos on my channel, which I'll link in the description below if you want to check that out, such as Transformers 5 predictions, who are the creators, Nemesis Prime theory, all of that kind of stuff. I would think if we're going to have a story following Optimus, we're kind of going to have new characters, the creators revealed, all of that kind of stuff anyways. So Optimus's story, if that's what we're going to get, sounds like it's going to be pretty cool. What about Bumblebee's story? Hopefully we would have Bumblebee leading the Autobots and being the main focus of the Earth characters. I think this could provide a chance for a lot of drama, and just getting to see the characters, Bumblebee in particular, in a different perspective. However, I think it is more likely that the story on Earth will have Cade as its central character, as even in the interview Mr. Ryan mentioned Cade and company as opposed to Bumblebee and the humans and Autobots. It especially seems likely, since we're already going to have a storyline that probably will have to follow Optimus occurring in space, that this other storyline would follow the human character a little bit more closely, and Age of Extinction seemed to kind of set up for that dynamic. Now, I think either way, we have a good chance of Bumblebee getting his voice back. For one thing, we see that happened in Robots in Disguise with Bumblebee being leader, which I think is also likely either way, but also Mark Ryan is around for Transformers 5, and he was Bumblebee's voice in the original film, for the one or two lines he had. We also have Cade working with Team Bumblebee, and he was shown to be able to repair Optimus to a certain extent, so I think it's pretty likely either way we could be seeing Bumblebee getting his voice back. I have a video that gives more extensive thoughts on that in my channel. I'll post a link to that if you are interested. One more thing on how this might be bad. These movies are already pretty confusing, so having two storylines could end up pretty crazy, especially if Michael Bay is still involved. Now, I know a lot of people are arguing there's been no confirmation. I'm still on the side that, despite the fact that I don't want Michael Bay back, I think he is going to be returning for Transformers 5, in which case, this could end up being pretty chaotic with two different directions. But that is all the news and commentary I have for this video. If you're interested in more regular discussion on Transformers news, along with reviews of the figures and shows, keep up with the channel for regular uploads. Also, drop off your thoughts in the comment section below to discuss what you think about this news and whether or not you enjoyed the video. You can also drop off any topic suggestions for future videos. I know that I haven't gotten as many videos uploaded in the past few days. I've had other things going on and have been working on other projects, but the upload schedule should be back to normal next week. Anyways, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more news and commentary, and as always, have a good one, guys, and I will see you soon.